Hello, everybody, and welcome to another edition of the Modern Drummer Podcast. I'm David Frangioni, and this is a truly special podcast. We're live backstage in Miami Beach, and we've got two special guests. Our featured guest, a world-class drummer, and out on tour right now at Mitski, and that is Bruno Esrubilsky. And modern drummers, Danny Laverde, Ziggy Laverde, as he's known in the magazine. You'll read his articles, and you see him all over the modern drummer community. So, gentlemen, welcome. This is fantastic. Bruno, why don't you take us from kind of the beginning of when you found the drums? Let's just kind of do the origin story, and then we'll go up through Berkeley and of course, the last almost decade with Mitski. So let's start with your journey finding the drums.
I'm originally from Argentina, from Buenos Aires, and I grew up for most of my life in Brazil, in Rio de Janeiro. So drums, percussion, rhythm they're a byproduct basically of being from where I'm from. So there was always that. But playing drums specifically, the light bulb went off when I heard, and I'm as many drummers would concur, when I heard Rush for the first time. That really just turned it all on. It was like, this is just great. I need to be doing this. Then I started taking drum classes in Rio, and really got into the progressive rock, prog metal world, which is not the most Brazilian style ever. But that's where it really started. And then started really clicking to me as the years, 15 years old, 16 years old. It clicked. I had bands of my own in Rio. But it was clear to me that I worked better as someone that worked for someone, less of a band member type of drummer. And it was always the way my life and career developed. But then take that a few years later, and I had the chance to leave Brazil and move to Boston to study at Berkeley, which was by and far the best thing that ever happened to me as a drummer. But that opened the doors to move to the States and to start a career as a musician here. I already had a career as a touring session hired guy in Brazil, but really took off, of course, when I moved to Boston and really, really full-time dove into being a drummer.
So it sounds clearly you were very, very influenced by Neil Peart, right? And then you get to Berkeley, and now you're seeing all these other amazing drummers, right? Because that's such just a nest of, talent, not only drummers, but all musicians. So take us a little more in detail on the Neil Peart influence and what really impacted you when you got to Berkeley and you started to discover the world outside of Brazil.
So when I got to Berkeley, I was very influenced by prog or prog metal drummers. Neil, Mike Portnoy, truly were huge influences. But then upon arriving at Berkeley, with the teachers that I had, it really opened the doors to world music, jazz for sure, huge into the big band world at Berkeley, but more than anything, Middle Eastern sounds and percussions and rhythms, world percussion, West African percussion. So truly, Berkeley opened the world's doors, as I would put it, and that really shaped. I believe it shaped my brain on how I see the way I want to approach, being a drummer, percussionist. I played a lot of percussions through my life too. But had it not been for Berkeley and the teachers that I got to study under and be influenced by, I doubt that I would approach drumming the way I do now. But those years at Berkeley were truly the best. Truly just the best. Terry Lynn Carrington, Skip Hayden, like we were talking, Mike Mangini.
Morgenstein, was he?
I never took classes with him. I wish I had, but amazing. Casey Schwerel, just awesome drummers that have so much to share, so much knowledge, you know. And yeah, Berkeley, I wouldn't be here had it not been.
What's the best piece of advice that you got from Berkeley?
Man, open your mind. Just do a little bit of everything if you can. Try. You don't need to go deep into everything, but at least to be open minded to learning. Music from the Middle East, music from Africa. I already have influence from Brazil, so I already had the South America, Latin America rhythm in me. But Berkeley really told me, hey, you have an opportunity to open your mind, to not, be within these constraints. And given that there's people from all over the world studying there, and you get to play with all of them, and you have 5 to 10 different musical experience a day, that compounded through the years at 3-4 years at Berkeley really really shapes you, so from Berkeley I took more than anything else, play a little bit of everything, just try things out. I got really into Middle Eastern music for a while, and that brings you a knowledge and skill that you wouldn't otherwise had it stuck to just doing X and X. So basically, be open-minded, do a bit of everything, play with people from all over the world, play musical styles that you may not think are your forte, for example.
Yeah,
so
definitely.
that, in other words, be out of the comfort zone. I think that truly is what Berkeley allowed me.
And you keep growing from that.
You keep
But
growing,
what's
yeah.
interesting about your career is that you were influenced by Neil Peart and Mike Portnoy, but you're all about just groove and simplicity, which they have great groove, but they're not. Their drumming is not about simplicity.
Absolutely not. No, it's really not. It's really not. I definitely have taken a left turn there somewhere along the freeway. Yeah, but like I was mentioning earlier, today when I'm playing drums, I'm trying to subtract rather than add, and I would like to think of myself as a songwriter's drummer, and it's been that way for a long time now. If I'm sitting behind the kit, most likely I'm sitting behind the kit behind a songwriter, and to me, my job is first and foremost, if not to say my only job, is to create the most comfortable place for the artist to do their thing. I want my drumming to be quite literally the ground that allows the person that I work with to do their thing, to not have to even think that there's a drummer behind them doing their thing. That's how seamless I would like to approach playing a live show or playing on a session or anything that puts me behind the drum kit. I want to do less, and I want to do what the songs call for and what makes the artist the most comfortable possible to perform at their best. And if that means taking things out little by little instead of adding things, then to me that's where the holy grail of drumming is. But yes, the influences are complete, otherworldly different than what I'm just saying, which is I guess a little ironic, but it's part of the journey, and it's what year after year it takes each of us to where we're meant to be, and I believe I'm meant to be a songwriter's drummer.
So you say you strip back the drums
Yeah.
a lot, and especially during this gig with Mitski.
Yeah.
Is that something that you learned with her over the years, or is that something that just came naturally after Berkeley?
That's nice. That's nice to think about. If definitely developed through the years. In my opinion, it developed through cutting my teeth in New York City. I spent, let's say, between 2010 and 2020.
You moved there after Berkeley.
Yeah, right after Berkeley, moved to New York, and gigged like crazy. It was 10, 20 gigs a week, sometimes 2 gigs a night. A lot of times learning material on the subway, on the J train, going to Rockwood or whatever venue out of the thousands of venues in New York. Sometimes to play with people that you were about to meet before walking on stage.
That's crazy, yeah.
Because there was no time for rehearsal sometimes.
No, you just show up.
So I think that developed or helped develop the less is more aspect. Like, okay, this is my job. I'm here to play these tunes, to have people enjoy them, perhaps dance if I'm lucky, perhaps dance to it, and I think it's gotten to this point via cutting my teeth in New York City, playing with hundreds of songwriters in hundreds of different aspects, big shows, small shows, coffee places, rock venues.
You saw it all over the years in New
All
York,
of it.
especially. Yeah.
Off Broadway, Broadway, working with lots of dancers, playing drumming that was linked to choreography, like all of the things that a place like New York City allows a gigging, in this case, a gigging drummer. I think through the years brought me to where I am now, you know. And with Mitski, because if you see her show, it's pure choreography. She's moving a lot, and the choreography has to do with the lyrics. But the drumming needs to complement that while also not taking over it, right? So it's a really fun, fine line to try to get to every night. And with an artist like her who is so expressive on stage, so expressive, it makes the job hard and fun, you know?
That makes sense.
Hard in the best of ways and fun in the best of ways.
And when you met her, I saw a video actually where it was just the three of you playing.
Yeah.
And in a little club
Yeah.
in New York. And
Yeah.
it's just the three of you. It was very emotional, but the sound was very minimal, and it came across as, you know.
We've done a lot of DIY.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Now it's at a level where you guys 8-piece band.
We're
and
8-piece
it's
band.
crazy.
We have pedal steel. We have percussionists. We have
But
violin. We have everything. But it wasn't like that.
How did you meet Mitski, and what do you think about the journey from starting in the little clubs like that to playing big theaters across the U.S. sold out?
Playing with Mitski is the greatest job that I can think of. For a drummer with the mentality that I have about playing drums, someone like her is to me the ultimate artist. But there's just there's a bit of everything. So we started. It was a trio, and she was playing bass, guitar, drums, DIY heaven. It was truly set your kit 5 minutes before the show. No sound check. Let's do this. Was it great? Was it terrible? I don't know. You'll figure it out. And that's how I started with Mitski, in a punk way, almost in a punk rock approach.
Playing clubs.
Punk rock.
Yeah.
The way we approached playing that early, like the Puberty 2 record, that was from the perspective of a punk player, you know?
Okay.
Not necessarily playing punk music, but you see the DIY grittiness of it. And most definitely the way the years have shaped up and how each Mitski record is so very different from the previous, and allows the band, the musicians, to morph alongside, you see? So whereas now we have a very organic kit that's almost folky in a way approached.
Yeah.
Before we had a lot of electronic stuff. We have really long samples that I was firing. Just a lot of synthesizers.
And now you've just broken it down to the basics again.
And now we're back to just playing drums.
And how did you meet Mitski in the beginning, like in New York? How did you guys connect and first get together?
Meeting Mitski and starting to play with her blends directly with cutting my teeth in New York. I was playing and touring a ton, 2016, 2016. And I was touring with the band Joseph, which is an amazing band, three sisters from Portland, Oregon, and we toured a lot. Through playing with the band Joseph, I met management people, became friendly with Mitski management at the time, and that's how I developed, right, to join her band. And that is also how, in my experience, in my career, basically everything has developed via friendship and connections.
Okay.
You see, cutting your teeth in New York, playing every gig possible, leads to becoming friends with a lot of people, knowing a lot of people, and having connections and to this and that person
And you
so
can't, yeah,
forth.
and you can't play a lot of gigs in New York without putting yourself out there.
Yeah,
and getting
it
somewhere.
literally is about putting yourself out there. Like,
You
hey,
can't be scared. You just got to go
no,
head first.
no,
and
no,
go
no.
out
Like,
there.
hey, I love doing this. I want to do this. Let's play.
So
right?
when you guys got connected, how did she hear you play, or how did that come together? Where you guys were like, she was, hey, come play with me.
Man, it was extremely organic. I met Patrick first, her guitar player producer,
Yes.
who is an amazing musician. Met him. He came to my then practice space in Brooklyn. Rest in peace that spot. That was great. And he just brought a guitar and we just played some of the Puberty 2 songs.
Okay.
That's the record from 2016 that had just sort of come out, 2016, 2017. And we just played very DIY. Hey, let's try this song. Like Your Best American Girl. That's a Mitski song from that record. Like, okay, let's do it. I wasn't extremely familiar with her music then, so that also goes to show the organic manner in which it all came together. Because he brought a few songs like, what would you do here? Maybe I would do this, and then he would do his thing, I would do mine. We spent a couple hours together, just back and forth. I hadn't even met Mitski yet. It was just Patrick, and no bass, no nothing, just guitar and drums. And now in hindsight, that was sort of the audition, because there was no audition per se.
No, he was feeling you out. Let's play. Let's jam these songs.
Let's just
see what happens.
Let's just play some tunes. And that's how it came together. And then within a week, we were in that same room, rehearsing with her, playing bass, and that was for the Puberty 2 album cycle.
And you guys clicked right away.
She clicked right away. She's an amazing musician. She's multi-instrumentalist, insanely talented. She will play piano, she'll play guitar, she'll play bass, and a little bit of everything. And in that time, like I was saying, she was playing bass. And just to see the way her musicianship has developed to what she does now. Now she doesn't play an instrument on stage, but she's doing so many things that are rhythmic and musically related with her movements, that it's almost as if she's playing an instrument when she's not.
She's becoming more theatrical.
Yes, 100%. It's basically like watching a theater show, because there's so much movement, and it's all linked to rhythms and to lyrics. And it's just it's a show that really welcomes you to her world, and it's developed from a DIY trio to an 8-piece band. Awesome. 7 years, let's say, 7 years later.
With the new record, you know, it sounds very DIY. It sounds clean and it's a great sound, because I think Patrick achieved that sound of, hey, I want to make it sound like we're recording this DIY by ourselves. Yep. But we also want it to be a radio hit,
100%.
And it's really cool to see that. But how did you guys achieve getting the recorded sound to the live show?
Yeah, that is part of why we came up with the kit that we have.
Do you guys work on that together, you and Patrick?
Yeah. So this kit, the Gretsch kit that we have, is Patrick's kit.
Okay.
He bought it. He loved it. He called me a few months before we started rehearsing for this tour, and he's like, man, I've been thinking I kind of want to use a vintage kit on this tour. I think it's going to work great. And I'm all up for anything. Whatever you bring to the table, I'm down. I want to make it work in whatever way the artist feels like it should, right? So I'm like, yeah, let's do it. Let's do this. What else? Want to use brushes? Want to use like a broomstick? What other dark, washy sounds we can make it work? But yeah, it's his drum kit, and he used it on the record. I mean, it sounds great, and it complements the show. It complements the rest of the instruments. It's a really neat kit, But that's how Patrick and I and the band, while rehearsing,
you guys will hash it out before everything else gets
Yeah, absolutely. And he's got a very drum brain, if I can put it that way. He's a guitar player, but he's a drummer by deep within. So he and I connect in that way. But yeah, it's a very organic way to make music, and that is my favorite way to approach it. That's my favorite way to play drums, and it comes, I think, from literally playing a gazillion gigs a week in New York of every sort, every shape and size, gig possible, and it brings to the approach that we have here. Simple, less is more. The song is what matters. The artist is what matters. I'm here to perform for the artist. Not here. It is not a drummer's show in any shape or form. It is a music show that has a drummer giving the foundation to the band for the band to do their thing.
The first time I played the PHX was roughly around 2008, and it was at the Montreal Drum Festival with Paul Brochu, Mark Kelso. Having a chance to actually play those drums after seeing them for the first time, easy to tune, big sound, really punchy, direct sound, focused sound, and yeah, I just wanted to play really fast.
So, Bruno, what is your approach to practicing, warming up? What are the drumistic sides of the Mitski gig and just your approach in general doing gigs, as you've done so many gigs in your life? What do you do from a drumming side, either besides Berkeley that you learn from, taking from there? Now, what are your routines and how do you approach keeping the drumming side of your life up?
Ironically, a lot of the ways that I prep for either a tour or for a night by night basis is less drum related, more psychology, inner body and mind related. So, before I play a show, first and foremost, I am warming up, yes, but I am trying to envision what's about to happen in my mind, prepping myself for it mentally, less of a physical warm-up per se, but more here. It's like, what do I want to bring to the table? Like reminding myself of my core drumming principles, which is what I was just sharing, simplicity, the play for the song, and it's just going through the scenarios in my own head while jumping rope. I love to jump rope before the show. That is my warm-up routine. I barely ever have a practice pad or type of warm-up. It is jumping rope right behind the stage, 5 to 10 minutes. Get the blood pumping, the heart going, get excited, get a little sweaty, because the playing part has been done to that point. We've rehearsed. The band's ready. We're ready to play. There's not much from there on. To me, what matters before the show is mentally prepared. Take any concerns that you have in life away from your mind. Your next hour and a half is the show, is the artist. It's Mitski time, right? So that and jumping rope is where I can definitely recommend to anyone that wants to play a show and stick for an hour and a half with energy. Jump some rope, Not a very drumming tip, but it's it's the way that it works for me to prepare. And through the years, I met more and more drummers that do the same.
We meet a lot of drummers that say that.
Yeah.
That's part of their routine.
Yeah, Dave Village, who I love and have taken classes with in the past, does that. And when he told me he does it, I'm like, that's what I do. So I'm doing something right,
And you guys kicked off the tour recently.
Yeah.
Last night was your first show. And
Yeah.
How did it feel to play for the crowds? And this is a big tour, right?
Yeah.
It's the biggest tour you guys have been on.
Massive.
You have dates like Red Rocks on this show.
Yeah.
2 nights sold out here in Miami.
Yeah.
How was the crowd reaction? How did you feel looking at it? And
It was awesome. Last night was amazing. I can't wait for tonight. Because it's such a different Mitski show, it's really exciting to see people's fans' reactions. You see, because the show is not what your standard Mitski fan would have expected when arriving.
you think they all got surprised
I
seeing
think
it
so.
at first?
I hope so, and I think so. I'm sure they would because it's such a different show. If you ever seen a Mitski show pre-2024, this is a whole different experience. It couldn't be more different. So, beginning with the fact that we're playing only sit-down theaters in the whole run on purpose, because this show, it's meant to be more personal. It's meant to be you in a living room with Mitski.
It's an emotional experience.
Yeah, yeah. So that's really cool. Last night was amazing. I can't wait. Excuse me. We have multiple nights in most cities. We have 7 nights in New York, 4 nights in LA. So it's a really different way to tour from the standard way of touring. You see, it's a very exciting show to bring to people and to Mitski fans. You know, I really do want to see them think, what are they doing? What song is this? Oh, that's this song? Sounds so different, you know?
No, it's the best part. You like surprising the crowd. Yeah, that's great.
Yeah, I feel like that happened yesterday. Because there's some songs in previous tours when we play them in a more Mitski fashion that fans recognize immediately because we're playing this song.
It's like you told me right after one hi-hat, they recognize it. Yeah.
I mean, there's songs that the first hi-hat beat or the first kick drum, for some reason, people know exactly what song is. And now we're playing them so differently that 9 out of 10, it takes the fans, or at least last night, it took fans a couple seconds to be like, oh, this is that song. Cool. Let's experience it in this new way that the band hashed out for us. You know?
Yeah, it's great.
It's really exciting. It's really cool. I'm so lucky. It's just being able to do this for a living, full time, in a way that I've dreamt about for so many years in life. You know, it's a blessing. It's luck, yes, but it is just the greatest job that I think I could have. You know, playing music that I love with people that I love, and just traveling the country, traveling the world. And it goes to show that there is a way to do it. The music industry is tough. It's hard to get gigs. It's hard to stick to gigs. It's hard to make money, make a living. Everything is expensive. So I can see how hard it can be for perhaps younger people to feel like, oh, I really would like to be a full-time musician. Not just drummer, a musician, any sort. And it's easy to get off track, right, with how hard things are in this industry. But there is a way to do it. You just have to stick to it, you know? Persevere, you just have to do it. If it takes 10 years of playing multiple gigs with a gazillion people in order to find the artist, band, whatever it is that clicks with you, whoever that may be, then do it. It might be the best 10 years of your life, you know, that grind. You might look back and think that was what made me who I am. I'm not only talking about myself. I'm truly thinking and hoping that a lot of younger musicians, drummers, look at it in that fashion, because there is a way to make it. It's not easy, but there is a way to make it. And like you said, David, it's perseverance. It's what it takes. It is not the industry that, or at least in my humble experience, it's not a day to night thing. It's not overnight that it happens. That's what I mean. It takes a minute, and in my experience, nothing that's really good is easy. You see, nothing that's worth it at the very end is meant to be easy at the onset. You know, it's meant to be tough. It's meant for life in general, but life as a musician, for example, to make money enough to live in this day and age, it's not meant to be easy, because it's not. But you keep doing it. You keep being true to who you really believe you are as a musician.
It's true. And I feel like a lot of people get driven by fear a lot of times.
Exactly.
Especially in this business, especially trying to make it as a a session
fear,
player or a live player.
Fear is on the very top of everything in this industry, because it is very hard.
It's true.
Because it is extremely, how to say, there's no certainty, right? No. Even nowadays, for example, I don't know what 2026, 2027, whatnot awaits, but I know I'll be trying to do exactly what I do now.
You know what the interesting thing
Yeah.
about that is that that's absolutely true.
Yeah.
And the fallacy, if you will, is that anything in life, you do know what's in 26. Nobody knows.
No.
You could be the CEO of a company. You don't know what's going to happen in 26. You
Nope.
could predict, and you can be possibly right, and you can look at trends, and you can look at the past.
100%.
But nobody knows.
No.
So that's the irony
Yeah.
of the mindset that has to overcome
Yeah.
that
100%.
fear and that trickery
100%.
in your head that, oh, if I do something else, I'll have that certainty.
Yeah.
No, certainty is a decision.
You can take certainty away from the table, because who knew 3 years ago what was going to happen 3 years ago? You see, who thought the industry would just collapse in the blink of an eye? It took the floor out of everyone I know, myself included, my wife, everyone. Like, everyone is just like, whoa, what is happening?
Our magazine.
Exactly.
Everybody was in the boat together.
Everyone was in the boat together, and it wasn't easy. Yet, 3, 4 now, unbelievably so, years later, here we are. You know, there is a way to do it. You can't know what's gonna happen, but you can persevere if you really are hungry about whatever it is that you do. It's not just about drumming. It might be an instrument. It might be any career path. If it's meant for, if you truly believe that's what you're meant to be doing, you just gotta stick to it. I don't know a different way to go about it.
You've drummed your whole life.
Whole life. Yeah.
Because I haven't heard you share that you did one thing that wasn't drumming.
Yeah. It's this.
You had no other option.
No.
It was drums,
No.
and that's
The
it.
definition of no plan B.
Oh
Yeah,
man,
no
it
plan
drove
B,
my
man.
drove my mom crazy. You know, in the early days. Like, this is. Can you drive me to this show? Like, you know, can you help me bring these drums to this
And it's loud
DIY
in the
venue in
house,
Brazil?
right?
and God bless her, but you do what you're meant to do. If you believe that that's what you're meant to do, you keep doing it. And yeah, I haven't done anything else besides
And
drumming.
don't give up.
No.
Don't give up. Thank you, Bruno, for being here. Thank you, everybody at Modern Drummer. My name's Danny Ziggy Laverde, and we have some very exciting stuff for you guys coming up. Check out the all-new podcast. Check out our tour kit rundowns, and check out the exciting stories in our magazine every month. You can also get a copy of our single print issues, which also come 2 issues in 1 on our website, moderndrummer.com/shop. Thank you, guys.
Thank you, Bruno. Thank you, Ziggy. Thank you, everybody. I'm David Frangioni for the Modern Drummer Podcast. Until next time, wishing you the best.